all sounds great, but I can afford and I'm willing to do one further diagnostic panel. What would it be?
Ooh. Stool. A functional stool test. Probably.
Okay. One vote for functional stool?
I think I would echo that because I was thinking hemoglobin A1C and sugar markers would be critical, but I'm just going to assume that's an issue and assume that mitochondrial dysfunction is driving thyroid, thyroid pathology. And I'm just going to, you can make a lot of clinical assumptions, but sort of trying to divine what's going on with his microbiome is rather challenging. So I do think I'd echo that.
And I just want to add to that, we already have his baseline triglycerides and his HDL. So if you look at the ratio, plus we have his blood sugar of 133. Yeah. His ratio is greater than 4. The trigs were 150 and his HDL I think was 36. So that's greater than 4, which is significant, associated not only with cardiovascular disease, but, metabolic syndrome. So I think we have sufficient data,
I think that I chime with them, but I would like to see the adrenals again. I think the food he's eating is driving a lot of that. He's fatigued a lot. So I think a lot of the adrenals are so important today, and it's just sort of part of the picture. So it's really hard. I mean, they're probably more correct. They're physicians. I'm a pharmacist.
There's no one right answer.
Right, exactly. But I think the adrenals are very important in this case too, because he's under a lot of stress and he's in fight or flight 24/7.
I've found, though, just to sort of chime in, because I obviously would agree with that, but that until you deal with the inflammatory component, you can chase the hormonal aspect of like the cortisol sort of endlessly without clinical yield. And I think a lot of that is because of what we're learning about the role of the brain, so the hippocampus and hypothalamus in regulating that HPA axis feedback. And you really want it to start to re-engage the feedback correctly. And if your brain is inflamed because you have systemic inflammation, I think it's pretty hard to do that just with licorice fruit, let's say.
Well, the other thing too,
I agree. And it's driving towards estrogen. I mean, we know that there's this whole pro-inflammatory drive. I agree with you, though, that we see adrenal fatigue somewhere on that continuum in this whole population.
What about sugar glycation?
Yeah.
We didn't have address sugar, and he's eating a lot of sugar.
Well, we can assume that it's imbalanced. I mean, we can assume it.
Yeah.
And we do have his triglyceride HDL ratio. We have his fasting blood sugar. We know those are both imbalanced.
It's the gift of the statin.
Gift that keeps on giving.
So we can assume that.
Keeps on giving.
And we can assume vitamin D is a pretty important test. Interestingly, I don't know that I'm going to I don't know if I'm going to relinquish.
That's not fair.
I don't know that I'm going to relinquish my stool test, but because how aggressive do we need to dose them? I'd probably dose them fairly high. But anyway, go ahead.